and good evening, everyone. And thank you for joining in with today's session. Today, we're very happy. We have a beautiful session going on, and we're happy to have, uh, you know, an entire team of a battalion of the DQ Lab 2019 toppers. So we have people from CEPT. We have people from SPA Delhi, Bhopal, Vijayawada, uh, and of course MS Ramaya Bangalore and RVCA Bangalore. So I would like to first introduce everybody to you. We have Shravya Manjunath from Bangalore. She's currently studying at CEPT Ahmedabad. We have Nikita Biju Thomas. Nikita was rank 4, Karnataka CET rank 4, and she chose to study at RVCA Bangalore. Then um, we have just a second. We have Sanmita. So Sanmita is also Karnataka CET rank 7, 2019, and she is currently studying at MS Ramaya Bangalore. Then we have Pakhi Srivastava. Pakhi interestingly did a completely online program with us, and she's currently studying at SPA Delhi. We have Harshini, who's studying at SPA Vijayawada, and we have um, Mrunal and Ruchira, both studying at SPA Bhopal. So, firstly, thank you all for taking the time out to make it here, and we're really happy to have all of you here. Um, so, I'd like to start off with each of you. I'll go by one. Um, just to understand what is your experience like at your college. Briefly, what's happening in the last 1 year and how you've been enjoying your life in your college over the last year. So, let me start off with Shravya,
Hi, sir.
because Sept is really aspirational to a lot of students when it
Right,
comes
yeah.
to students all across India. So,
Mhm.
what's the last year been like for you?
I think it's been a roller coaster of a journey because Sept, it has been truly a home, another home for me itself, because there's so much the campus itself offers, the faculty they offer, and your peers itself. It makes you want to learn more, and it makes you want to, develop more passion for whatever you're doing. I think it's been a great journey so far, and it's definitely not been the one that I'd expected. So it was more challenging for me also, and I think I've dealt with it pretty well. I can say that. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Uh, One second. Right. So that's been pretty cool. And what was your expectation before you went to Sept, and what was your imagination before you went to Sept? What did you expect, and what happened there?
So I, like all of them are here now. I'd also had these lot of conversations with all other seniors doing the architecture in different schools. And the only thing that I was hearing is, it's so hard. You got to make models all day long. You got to keep studying. You got to keep designing stuff. I mean, that's all there. But I think the transition happened when there was this point when I realized that we don't have textbooks or exams in our college, and you just learn if you're really passionate and you're really into it. You're going to learn by yourself, and it's more of individual learning itself and how you're going to take it up and how you're going to deal with the whole thing. So I think Sept has been different in that way. Like I had expected a lot of exams, a lot of juries and all of that, and through the course of 1 year, all I've attended is one proper jury. That's it. No exams, no books, nothing. So that's really different for me.
All right. And you were telling me that at Sept, it's like the first year is common across everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So there are students of design and interior design and all that. So what's that like working with students from different backgrounds and ideas?
The thing is, we have 5 departments in Sept. There's technology, there's architecture, there's interior design, there's product design, and there's construction technology. So all of these people, they study as one batch in the first year. So we were a class of 300 in the first batch, and all you learn is the basic skills that you need to sort of move into the next steps in architecture. Like architecture is mostly about designing places and making spaces and stuff. So when you're going to have to represent your ideas through certain media, you're going to need a lot of skills, like let's say model making or even sketching or even drawing and stuff. So in the first year, that was all I learned. All we did was learn how to draw proper lines, draft proper lines, and make proper models and stuff like that. We never designed a project. So all of my peers that I have here in Bangalore, they keep telling me that I designed this building, I designed this cool stuff, but I never got to design any of that. I just learned how to draw lines. In fact, our first exercise was to draw horizontal and vertical lines on 80 cartridge A3 size sheets. That was what we did for like 2 weeks straight. So that was an experience, and I think it really was essential because um, from your 12th grade to your architecture, there's not much transition that you can see because you've been doing science or arts or whatever all this time, and suddenly you have to design a whole space all by yourself. You're not equipped for that kind of thing. So I think these skills are really, really important to be given to the students there. So I think it was really helpful for me to. Now I can confidently say that I can draw a straight line without using a scale.
Okay. All right. That's interesting.
Yes.
Just one second. I need to just send some. Just a right. And so thanks a lot for that, Shravya. All right. So now, just moving on to Pakhi Srivastava. So Pakhi, what's your experience been like at SPA Delhi?
So, first of all, I would like to say that it was truly amazing getting to meet so many different people from all over India. It was a whole new experience because personally, I've never interacted with so many different kinds of people. And also, it was not a very smooth transition, but it was really fun. Getting to work all night surely is stressful, but I would like to say that even in those moments, I would like those were the most fun moments I've ever had. And
Okay.
certainly fests and all, they all are a plus point. Just working all night and surviving on coffee, that's another aspect.
Okay. Right. So in terms of your the environment at SPA Delhi and possibly the classmates and your interactions with the classmates, what's that like? Is I mean, if do you have a framework? Say, like, have you seen stuff at other architecture schools, and how would that compare?
So I've not really been to another architecture school, but I have friends who are studying in engineering college,
Okay.
and they define how their curriculum is like. It's so stiff, but in architecture, everything feels so fluid. It's like it's right as Shravya said, we have to learn everything by our own self. Our professors, they would be more like our friends. They're liberal. They would approach it. Architecture gives us a new aspect to everything, to see everything in a different light. Even a space, it can mean a so different meanings of it.
Right.
So
Right. So overall, you're having a brilliant time there.
yes, truly
Okay.
awesome.
All right. So let's go down to SPA Bhopal. All right. Mrunal and Ruchira. So Mrunal and Ruchira, what is SPA Bhopal like? I mean, let's start off with Mrunal.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is life like at SPA Bhopal?
So in Bhopal, we actually our campus is around 15 kilometers from the city,
Hmm.
and it's a short and a small campus where there are only architecture and planning students, and there are a few master students. So as said by people, I mean we have a lot of assignments for sure, And I think one advantage we have is the hostel is inside the campus. So we get to work late night in our studios itself. And we get permission and we can just access a library also at night for any references and stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. And so what does a typical day for you entail?
Our college starts at 10 o'clock. So at 10 o'clock, and then we don't have one class per subject. We have around 3-4 periods per subject. And for design, we usually have it for a stretch of 3 hours. And it's twice a week. So we have classes around till 4:30, but sometimes the design classes do get extended, and we have time problems or a few more extra submissions. And other than that, we can just at 4:35 we go to a hostel, and then we always have snacks or a rest time, and then we meet our friends and talk over. And after that, we start doing our assignments probably. Like we actually start at night, and then it's usually like a night out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So Ruchira, to take it from there, now are the assignments, is it like that much that everyone is fearful of and scared of?
Well, we definitely do have a lot of assignments to finish. But since we're living in a hostel and we get to work with all of our friends, so when you're sitting together and working with them, it doesn't get stressful at all. In fact, you start enjoying it so much, and that actually helps your thinking process. It builds your creativity also that way. So I would say it's not stressful at all. You will enjoy it if you have passion for it. It is just amazing.
All right. You made a brilliant point that it improves your creativity. Okay, I would just
Yes.
like to build on that. So, and this is something that we believe as well, and we do believe that when you share your work, show people what you've done, when you see what others have done, you grow as a person yourself. It's
Definitely.
not like you copy somebody's ideas. It's just that you grow,
Yes.
and we try and encourage that. So how important is that at in your environment that you're at SB Bhopal?
Well, I think that is the most important thing to do here, especially looking at your peers' work. More than that, I would say take inspiration from your seniors as well.
Okay.
Uh, yes, so I feel like seniors are your greatest source of knowledge when you go to college. So yeah, definitely your faculty is there to guide you, to help you, and they are very friendly, very knowledgeable people. But since you belong to the same generation with your seniors, so definitely you're going to get more comfortable talking to them. So I
Right.
feel like it is a better relationship, and that also helps build your knowledge a lot.
Right. Um, I think you've brought up some very good points, because we totally agree that it's not only the learning, and I don't know if I've interacted with you guys before, but whenever I interact with parents, I always tell them that in an architecture school, you learn a lot from your juniors, your seniors, your peer group, and that's really the essence of getting into a good school.
Yes,
Yes.
That cross learning is very important.
yes.
Cool. Um, right. So going on to Nikita. All right. So Nikita, rank 4. All right. If I mean that is outstanding. Rank 4 in Karnataka. So you got a 168 in Nata, right?
Yes.
How did you do that? I mean, that is a huge score.
I mean, for math and like the aptitude part, it was pretty like 12th grade math, and like it was, if you learn CBSE math, you can do Nata math. Like it's not that hard. And the aptitude part was also pretty easy. I actually scored a lot in my drawing part. That's where it my
Yeah.
grades got.
True. I mean, but even a score. I mean, even if you do well in your drawing, a score of 168 is still like outstanding. That means you just lost like 30 marks out of 200. It's like phenomenal. Okay, but yeah, but now then you have chosen RV as a school, right?
Yeah.
So what's RV like? What is the environment?
It's really good. Like the faculty is really good. And I remember I was really nervous in my first week. They had like this orientation week where, they got us comfortable with, the idea of architecture. But like, they gave us like small little activities to do, which did not like really concern architecture, but it gave us a general feel of like a creative environment, so that we could, get comfortable and creative. And also then like, I remember my design faculty, they took us through a week of art, music, dance. Like they took us to a play. They like really helped us, they helped the creative juices flow by, taking us to these creative things. And then we started, slowly going into the actual architecture part, which was really nice.
Okay, that's cool. I think that's a beautiful way to start off, by learning the creative sphere by itself. So
Yeah.
that's interesting. Um, right. So, are we the campus? All right. Because a lot of people say that it's like a little far out. So what
Yeah,
does
it's
that
like
make a difference?
it's like in the middle of a forest kind of. Like it's pretty far out, but it's nice. Like it's pretty peaceful. It's really peaceful. And especially if you live in the hostel, it's really nice. Like I mean, the hostel environment, I really enjoy it. It's really fun working with your peers and your like, roommates. And it's
Yeah.
really fun.
And I think I've seen the campus. I've come and visited the campus. It's a very beautiful campus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's small, but it's nice.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Cool. And going on to Sanmita. So Sanmita, you too are Karnataka CET rank 7, which is brilliant. You
Thank
got
you.
like a 95% in your boards and a 157 in Nata, which is again outstanding.
Thank you.
Right. So yeah, so you chose MS Ramaya. What was the reason for choosing MS Ramaya?
My mom's a bit, I mean, they wanted to keep me close. So I don't go to I don't stay in a hostel like all of you do. So I stay at home. After class, I come back home. I'm in a bad mood half the time and then my parents are always like, what happened at class? And I'm like, no, there's so many assignments. But I think there's a different charm of coming back home. Your parents are there. I have a sister. She supports me. So yeah, that there's like good things to both
All
hostel and home life.
all right. So this is interesting because we've got a lot of students who go and stay in the hostel, and from your experience staying at home, because this is another concern that a lot of students have. Should I stay at in the hostel, or is it okay for me to stay at home and travel? So how do you manage the travel? Do you stay close to your college or?
Yeah, my college is just 20 minutes away from home, and it's like kind of close towards the heart of the city, so it's not in a far off place. If I was a hostelite, it would be much easier because I have friends staying in the hostel, and they have. I mean, it's really easy for them to take their models and stuff, but I struggle every time. And I can take an auto, but some of my friends they travel by bus, and it's very difficult carrying all the sheets, the models, and stuff. So I think everything has its own perks. I mean, hostelites they complain a lot. They say we have issues with the money or the food wasn't good or something. But they also have their perks. I mean, they're obviously a bit more let out. I mean, they have more freedom compared to us. But I mean, coming home is a different feeling as well. So there's perks to both.
Right. I'm sure about that. But how do you manage your assignments and at home? Because see, what we see is that the students who are in the hostel, they can go to the library and they can sit there all night and do that. So do you have that ability to sit at night in the college or extend your hours?
College is only till 4:30, so I do end up coming home. There's a brief break, and then I force myself to come to my room and work because if I sit out with family, they'll say it's okay, go or don't go now, work later or something. But I somehow muster the willpower. I come to my room at around maybe 8, and I work up till around 1 in the night. The material and stuff we can borrow from the library at college, but I end up browsing through the net mostly.
Okay. And I'm guessing that is sufficient. You do get sufficient resources
Yeah, yeah.
online. So everything's on Google. So cool. All right. Thanks, Sanmita. Harshini. So, yeah, good evening, Harshini.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, so what's SPA Vijayawada like?
Like, firstly, I want to say I'm a 2017 passed out. After I came out, after the results of JEE mains and Nata came out, I was disappointed because I got a very less marks in JEE and Nata.
Okay.
So my parents was forcing me to join some other degree engineering, but I was a bit interested in architecture. So I convinced my parents somehow and joined DQ Labs. So after my 1 year complete journey of DQ Labs, I got a very nice rank in JEE mains. Somehow I applied for all the colleges, but sadly, because of 20 to 30 ranks, I missed architecture. That's a very sad moment.
Okay.
But still, somehow I joined SPA Vijayawada for Bachelor's of Planning.
Okay.
But when I joined during for 2 months or 1 month, I was literally very sad. Why have I come here? Why I'm not studying architecture? Should I take a 1 year gap again? So many things was running in my mind. But still, after the days passed on, I got very good interest in planning, and then I realized that planning is also a very good stream to go. The students who are very really disappointed not getting architecture seat can do planning. That is a very good stream. I learned so many things. Planning is completely with guidelines, policies, programs, so many stuff we have in planning also. So many people tell planning is of no use. It's like, okay, but planning is very good. I learned so many things. I'm now happy that I did not get architecture. I'm very good. I'm really enjoying planning in SPA Vijayawada. It's very nice.
So this is something I keep telling my students, that there are a lot of disappointments. Not everybody does well in Nata for all reasons, for whatever reason. Sometimes just that day was bad, but I keep telling them that they have to open their mind out to other options as well, you know.
Yeah.
I do mention that planning is another good option. In fact, last week we had invited a planner
Yeah.
to come and talk about planning so that our students get that awareness. But I'm very happy that you had considered an alternative to architecture and reached out, and you're enjoying that. So, what is
Seriously.
planning like? What do you do as a student of planning?
See, planning is basically dealing with a very large space, very large, like acres together of land. So basically, we create maps in planning. Completely planning deals with a map. Whatever you want to explain, your design, your concept, your policy, everything should be explained through maps. We deal with satellite imagery, Google Earth, everything is map, map, map. Whenever my day starts and day ends, maps is only the part of our subject.
Okay.
With that, we have alternative subjects to, like, it deals with, like, planning covers almost all the syllabus. Our lecturers keep telling you can crack IAS or IPS very easily because planning carries 50% of the syllabus what they teach in IAS and IPS. They cover almost all the basic parts of the subjects which come in IAS, it seems. My faculty used to tell us.
Okay.
So planning is very nice. Students can join actually.
Right, and actually there is planning at all these places. Whether it's Sept has planning as well, right?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sept, SPAs, NITs, all of these schools have planning as an option, and it is a good option to consider for those interested. Thank you, Harshini. Now coming down to Shravya. So
Sure.
Shravya, you said you have a portfolio that you could share.
Yep.
It would be interesting to share that, and let's see what that's like.
Should I share my screen now?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Okay. Yeah. So I've sorry. Yeah. I've told you before that in first year, all 300 of us, all the departments, we study as one batch, and all of us study the same course. And basically, the things we do there is study the basics that you require to represent and actually design the whole space, and how you're going to actually put that, whatever your ideas are, how you're going to put that out to the jury panel or whoever you're explaining it to. So we had a lot of basic exercises. And the first one, I remember it was actually 30 sheets of drawing lines last year. I mean, before my batch. And then suddenly we went to this, we have a class. So it's called a master class where they're going to brief us about the whole exercise that we're going to do for the next 1 week or so. And so we go to this master class, and suddenly there's like all of the professors are standing, and they tell us that you'll have to take 80 sheets, A3 size, and you'll have to start drawing lines in them. And we were all in a shock because we expected a lot more. We thought we'll design a damn cool place or a space and make fancy buildings and stuff. And then the first thing they tell us is to draw lines on A3 sheets. But I'll tell you, that was the most important exercise that we did. So it's not part of my portfolio now because that was the basic thing that we did, and that led to us moving on to further exercises. So we had freehand drawing where we actually, you don't use any tools as such, no scales, no erase. Okay, yeah. The first day, all the erasers were taken away by the professors and were thrown in the dustbin, by the way. So you can't use that because you'll have to learn to develop these skills that are very essential. So in freehand drawing, the basic things that you learn is how you compose, the structures and make assemblages of sorts, so that you can actually put together a lot of different components when you're designing a space itself. That's how they related that. And then we had perspectives. Obviously, you guys must be doing that in DQ. So the same thing, take an assemblage and draw it in 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective, 3-point perspective and stuff. So that obviously is going to help you in representation. Maybe when you're showing the views of the building or something, that's really going to help. And then how things work is one very, very fun thing where we were asked to choose a random daily life object that we have and sort of, explode the whole thing and dismantle all the different parts of it. And then you have to draw it in exploded view. That was really fun because once you removed it, you also had to know how to assemble it back. So it actually taught you how, the different components, they actually come together in a complete composition itself. This is one really fun exercise. And we had people taking a grandfather's clock and actually exploding that and drawing that itself. They brought it onto campus and it was really fun. And then we moved on to gauging sizes, where this was basically done to learn more about the scales and stuff. So how do you implement human scales into a space and stuff like that? That was the essence of this exercise. And then we went on to model making, which was very, very fun because we did it in groups. So you could choose your own partners and stuff, and then you had to they allotted buildings to us. The main intention of this was to just learn to use the different materials. When you're making models itself, you get a lot of different materials, and cutting them can be quite a pain sometimes. So you'll really learn to do that through this. And then we moved on to deciphering styles. This was a very fun exercise, which we didn't expect to be a part of this course, because we were asked to make a collage of a space. So we were given a personality, and we had to make a collage of a space that depicted the sort of essence of that personality. And this was really fun because we had to take images only from magazines and stuff. So there's this place in Ahmedabad. It's called the Sunday Bazaar. So there you get all of these old upcycling stuff for really, really cheap. So you go there and you pick up magazines at 7 a.m. in the morning, and then you come back and make collages in the weekend and stuff. So that was really fun, and it was really out of the box. And then obviously we did making the structures part, where we learned more about the joineries and how, the different, we learned a lot about the forces that come into play in a structure in this exercise. I think that becomes really essential when you're actually designing a space. And then we did this imaginative drawing thing. So we were all given a part of our campus itself. So there's architecture building, there's planning building, there's the library and stuff. So we're given a part of it, and we had to sort of imagine it going into ruins by some sort of an whatever. You can imagine whatever happened to it. Maybe there's a volcanic eruption from the center of it or whatever. You just imagine and you sort of draw it out. This was, I think, this was the most important one that I did throughout this course, because I think it sort of teaches us how to put your imagination onto your paper, so that, you know, when you're designing a space itself, you have something in your mind, but you don't actually know how to put it on paper. So it just remains in your head itself. So I think this was an exercise that taught us to deal with that. And then we moved on to mapping, where we took our, okay, so by this time, Corona had started. So we were back in Bangalore. So we had to take our neighborhood itself and sort of map the neighborhood to see, you know, the context when we were designing the space. And the next thing that we did, the last thing that we did, okay, there's also this thing in Sept where every December, I mean, in the first year course, every December they take you to a place where you have to do any sort of study. You can study whatever you want. You're going to be there for like 4 to 5 days, and you're going to move around the whole place, get to know the people, get to know the place, and get to know what's really the essence of that place, and you sort of have to represent that. So we were taken to Varanasi, which was really, really fun, and we went there in December. So it was freezing cold, but I think it made it really memorable, because that's actually one way of how I remember that place. And yeah, there we were asked to sort of do any sort of study, just to you know, when you're doing thesis and stuff, you'll have to take up case studies and stuff. So I think this was a way of teaching you how you can go about that process. And the last thing that we had was this design problem, where we combined all of these, whatever we did from the first beginning, from drawing lines, the perspectives, the scales, and all of that. You combine that and you design one space in one place that they already allocate to you. So I was given Jaisalmer, and I had to design a space for a yogi in Jaisalmer. So I designed a depth space for a yogi in Jaisalmer, and this was what it looked like. So I'd say this was really essential for me, because let's say I was giving, basically, I expected it to be a design, this last exercise throughout my 2 semesters. And suddenly when I was asked to draw lines, I was put in a shock. But then I think the way I transitioned from drawing lines to, you know, sort of designing this whole space itself, I think it really showed me why those initial few days and exercises were really important. Because I think if I was given this sort of a design problem in the first week itself, I would definitely not be able to do it. And I would have ended up with a bad sheet and a bad jury, and definitely got roasted or something. But now, I mean, this design, I was really happy about it, because I got the basics right. And I think when you're making a design, that's what really matters. You just need to get your basics right. And even for Nata, I'd say when you're giving a Nata exam itself, the basics really, really matter. I mean, instead of going to the depth of it itself, you just need to deal with the basics first. So I think that was my experience with my first year. So it was very, very different from all the other colleges. I mean, I had a lot of people telling me, you know, I designed this circular building, I designed this flaky building and all. And then I was here drawing lines and stuff. And I didn't know what I was doing at that point. There was a point when I thought of actually taking a drop year and, you know, sort of applying for a different college also mid-sem. But then I think the way I've come from that phase to what I'm doing now, I'm really happy with where I stand right now.
Very cool portfolio. It's
Thank you, sir.
I think this I'm not sure if this happens in the other schools, but I like the progression of thought, you know, how the transition, how they brought you to where you are now. I think it really brings out the creativity in you.
It definitely did.
There's a question from Vishnu Pradeep, who says, can you give a few tips to getting into CEPT? All right.
Okay.
So I think first thing is to get into CEPT, they just consider your board marks, your board percentage, and your Nata score. Is that the only thing, or there's
yes? So if you're looking for architecture, that's the only thing. But if you're applying for any other department, let's say urban design or interiors or product design or construction technology, you will have to give an entrance exam, which is formed by the Sept, by the university itself. And then once you clear that exam, like they'll have a cutoff for that, and they'll put out a ranking list for that. And once you clear out that ranking list, you'll have an interview. So if you do well in the interview, I mean, you'll get through Sept. I mean, it's not that hard at all.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but with respect to architecture, so you got like a what was your board percentage?
Boards, I got a 91.
91, and your Nata score was
161.
161. Okay.
Yes.
All right, and that got you. So this is very important because a 90% plus and a 160 would get you into Sept.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Right. So to answer your question, Vishnu, the only thing is your board scores and your Nata score. So a 91 and a 161 got Shravya there. Okay.
Yes.
But with this, you were Karnataka CET rank 20.
Yes.
And Sept rank 60, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. So that means it is challenging. Even though you're one of the top in Karnataka, it's still not very easy.
Yes. So there's two quota sort of thing in Sept. So there's one ACPC quota, which is for the local candidates itself, which is for students from Gujarat itself. And there's the All India quota through which I applied. So All India, there's so many different states competing for like 40 seats. And there's one state competing for the other 40 seats. So it's definitely easier for them to get in. But then if you're from the other states, it's kind of hard, but it's not impossible at all. I mean, 40 seats are the cutoff, but then when people keep dropping out the first 40 seats, the next people in the list, they'll be prioritized. So if a 60th ranked girl can make it, I think you all can make it too. I mean, you just got to try.
All right. Fabulous.
Yes.
Okay. Right. So let's see. This year, is it through JEE? Abhinav, this year they have not given the guidelines yet, so we're not very sure. Varsha Manoj, is a portfolio required for architecture in Sept? Shravya, I'm going to break this up into two. Okay.
Yes.
Number one is, to answer Varsha's question, is a portfolio required for architecture to enter? No.
No.
But during your program, so now you finished 1 year and you've already made a portfolio. So how important is that?
I mean, when you're applying for Sept itself, I mean, a portfolio is definitely not required. If you have it, obviously you have an upper hand at it. But it's not for architecture; it's for the other departments when you give an interview. But architecture, it's solely your board marks and your Nata score. So portfolio is not required. But when you do a portfolio after your first year or the other years, it's very, very important because so in Sept, there's this system. From second year onwards, you split into your respective departments, may it be architecture or design or whatever. So in architecture itself, there are around 20 studios that are offered, and you're allowed to do one studio per semester. You can choose whatever studio you want to do. So there's a studio which deals with material itself. There's one studio which deals with structure itself. There's one that deals with how you add life to a space. So there are around 20 studios, as I told you. And you can, you sort of have to put that down in a list, and then you will have an interview for that. And then you can go to the respective studio. So when you're doing this, when you put your priorities, they're going to look at your portfolio that you made from first year, and then they're going to shortlist you according to what the quality of work was in your first year. So the portfolio that you make after 1 year, it's really, really important. I think that's the only thing that gets you into the studio that you want to do. And I think Sept is giving this amazing opportunity where you can study whatever course you want at whatever point of time. And we also have this option where, so you have to do an internship in the fourth year generally in all the other colleges, I believe. So in Sept, we have an option where you can do it in the fourth year or the fifth year. So you can choose to study in college itself during your fourth year, and you can take up internship in the fifth year. So you can choose to do what you want to do at whatever time you want to do. So you can give your best at whatever you're doing at whatever point. So I think that's a really good thing that Sept has to offer.
Awesome. That's good. Pakhi, coming down to you. You had some photographs that you'd like to share, right? So if you could share your screen and possibly talk a little bit about those.
So this was our first design basically not design, but it was kind of experimenting with different kind of curves and building upon a basic shape. So we could choose any shape, and we had to divide it in 4 different parts, and then kind of play around with it to make another shape. And then we had to do a rendering in it using different materials, and that rendering had to be with pen, that you can see in the photograph which is there. And so this is OIT of School of Planning and Architecture, Delhi. This is the place where most of the things take place. It is where the councils are selected, and the drawings which you see on the walls, they have been drawn by the people of SPA itself, and even the floor, the pattern you see. This is a part of a project we did. This we had to measure the our own measurements of a body, and it's called anthropometry. It was for us to understand or how much of a space a human needs to function in a space, or how limited or how big is too big, or how small is too small. And then according to this, we had to design our own space. This was part of a final drawing or final project of first semester. Then this was a part of a theory of structures, as the subject is called. This basically deals with, you can say it's kind of physics, but it's not very tough. It's kind of elementary level. So we had to balance the things based on the center of masses, and we made these shapes and then filled sand or gravel or whatever we could find in it. Then we balanced each other on the top of it, and then we uh, calculated its center of mass. And this was a part of a workshop that we did. We were being taught to how to play with origami and kirigami, and this was organized by our student council, and the main head was a 4th-year student. This was a part of visual arts and basic design, as the class is called. We had to take a thermocol and then design shapes on it, cut it out, place it on another thermocol. Then we poured plaster of Paris all in that frame. Then we let it harden. Then we got shapes like these, and we then had to color it out. And these will basically, as it told us, will be pasted, put on the walls of SPA Delhi. This we every year in both of the semesters we go to 2 places as a part of field visits. This is from a place called Dhaniakudia in West Bengal. So what we basically do in these visits, that we do measured drawing and study the place itself for our upcoming design projects. And then we take measurements and all. Then we draft these things in AutoCAD. Then we have to render it by hand. So they basically teach us different rendering styles through these. In previous semester, we did something similar with pencils, but this semester we had to do it via stippling. And these sheets were, I think, A0 sizes, extended A0 maybe, bigger than ourselves, 1.5 meter or something. This is also part of the same. So this is the volleyball court of SPA Delhi. I guess this is also one of the most famous hangout places where the classes are not going on. Whole of the class suddenly assembles and starts playing. This is during a fest when a famous stand-up comedian came to our place. I think this was in March itself. It was at the night time, around 8 or 9. The fest goes all day long and all night long for 3 to 4 days, and it's really fun. This is the drawing that I did with my teammates on one of the walls. We basically get involved with different committees in SPA Daily, so we can take whatever we like. There's one for poets and stuff, and I basically joined something for arts because I liked it. I guess. So these were the assignments that were given to us during the lockdown, and we had to paint the scene of our own room and using pen and color it only using poster colors. This is also a part of a fest. This was an installation made by Spakriti, the installation community of SPA Delhi. I guess, yes, that's all I have.
All right, pretty cool. That's very interesting. I think that gives a little insight into the life at your college.
Yes, sir.
All right, Harshini, you would like to share some details of your school?
Yes, sir. Hello.
Maybe over a couple of. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You can share your screen.
Yes, sir. Basically, this is my 3rd semester work. So, we actually every semester we too have a field work where we go for a place. We prepare survey formats. We interview the people. We survey the place. We survey roads. Everything, whatever we are supposed to, we have been guided in the studio. We will work it on the field. Basically, it will be around 7 to 10 days of field work. This is a place where we went. This studio basically teaches with housing programs for very poor people. So this is a place where houses have been constructed in various schemes like Indrama scheme, PMAY, etc. So what we do exactly here is we do survey. Different types of survey we do, and we collect data of people, occupation, income, living conditions, etc. After we come back, we'll do analysis like this. We correlate, regrade, and also we prepare maps. This map is basically dealing how high the land is. Also, we do proximity analysis, that how accessible the facilities for the people in the remote area is, and then we give the design for the place. This is called proximity analysis. Also, we do SWOT analysis, and where we come to know what are the strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats of that place. This is also another area where we did for PMAY scheme. That's also. Yeah, this is what we do in our studio. Basically, surveys and maps is everything in our studio.
I think he has a weak connection. If someone else could talk about the campus or anything else, we can keep continuing until he comes back. SPA Bhopal, do any one of you want to talk about your campus and how things go there?
see, in the first semester, especially during for design, we learned literally like the basics of design, from like the color scheme to lines. Like as Shravya said, we started with dot, then we went to line, then we went to plane. So we did all of that. We just started like right from the basics. So that was in the first semester. And honestly, in the first semester, I was, it's quite like it's just the introduction of architecture. So it's kind of like a little bit of the design and all of that. And I used to always wonder that, why aren't we doing anything architecture related? But now that we are in the second semester and now that it's done, I realized that it's, we learn the lines and the dot and planes, and it's all the basics, which gets us to where we are now. So, and in the second semester, we had a survey. So we had a documentation. So we were given a tailor shop. So we had to go to Bhopal, like the city of Bhopal, and we went to a place called New Market, where we selected a tailor shop. And we were actually a group of 4 people, and we selected, and we had to take the measurements of the shop. We had to click pictures, and once we came back, and in our design studio in a class, we had to make the plans in sections, and then that was the plan and section of the shop itself. So that was the first main assignment. The second assignment that we had was, we had to make a bubble diagram and show the connections, basically how everything is related, how the customer is related to the maybe the cutting person, or how the tailoring person, a person who's stitching is related to the owner, and all of that. So that was the second thing. And the third one was, the main assignment was when we came home for the lockdown. So it was after that, where we had to design our own tailor shop and a house also with that. So we had to design a tailor shop and a house, and we were given specific requirements, and we were given some sizes. So we had to design it accordingly. And then we were asked to make sections, elevations, and plans, and maybe some isometrics or some perspective views. So that was mainly a design. And and we have a subject, I think it'll be common for everybody. It's called, for us, it's building material construction, BMC. So in BMC, it's where you learn about the materials. Like in the first semester, we learned mainly about bricks, and we learned about different bonds, different types. And so that was mainly first semester. And we learned about concrete as well, and the basics of PMC. In the second semester, it was mainly timber joinery. We did doors and windows, and we also had materials like concrete and again maybe clay products, clay, and we had to make our own PPTs. And I mean, obviously through lockdown, it became difficult for the teachers also to teach, but we were like divided into groups, and we had to make a PPT and present it. And I think it just went by, and it was quite smooth. And then we also have, so our main, we have 3 core subjects, which is the first one is design, second is the BMC, and third is graphics. So in the first semester, we learned about orthographic projections, and we had to make around 30 sheets in the entire semester. And honestly, it seems a lot, but once you start doing it, it's actually fun. And I think I like the second semester graphics the most, because it had perspectives, and which we had obviously learned before, so our basics were quite strong on it. So we mainly had 1, 2, 3 point perspectives. We also know the basics which we were taught in DQ lab, but they teach us various methods like shortcut method, and there's these various methods which for now we might feel like why are we doing it, but it helps for sure in the future.
Yeah.
So these are the 3 main subjects. And then other than that, we have we have structural mechanics that continues for 5 years. So that's basically like physics, the basics, and where we learn about trusses and beams and columns and all of that. So that is there. And then there's also history of architecture. So that's my personal favorite subject. I like that a lot. It might sound, I mean, there's obviously a lot to do and a lot to research and all of that about, but it's interesting. Yeah, so these are my favorite.
All right, cool. I think I really want to understand what students. Maybe Nikita, if you could just elaborate what's happened in your first year as well. You know.
Well, like we started out very basic, like everyone, I think it's common for everyone. They don't start off with like just designing spaces. They like, gradually bring you into it. And so then like the first few projects that you design, it's like they'll be like something. What we had was like we had to design a dollhouse for like a fictional character from a book. So like we had like groups, and we had to like there was a lot of group work so that we wouldn't be singled out, and like like when the jury when it was the jury time. And yeah, so I remember and then we also used to have like a lot of field trips. We went to Hampi, and that really helped us seeing all the architecture and everything. And based on that, we had to design a it was like a based on what we saw in Hampi, and like we had to design something which if we saw any drawbacks, maybe like when you visit Hampi, and if you don't like have like water, like a water cooler, or like a guest, like a rest space or something, like we had to find one drawback and like rectify it with using some sort of architectural space. So yeah, we had something like that. But then in semester 2, due to COVID, it was completely online, and we learned a lot of softwares which we're not supposed to actually do. And yeah, so we learned SketchUp, we learned a lot of Adobe softwares, and it was really good. Like it was good, and we learned how to like make professional presentations and things like that, and that's really nice.
Yeah, there's a question from Harshita and Kumar, who's asking, do you have physics, chemistry, or math in the first year? Because that is a fundamental requirement to get in.
We have building structures, which is kind of like physics, but it's like basically, forces, force systems, and all that stuff. Like it's not optics and stuff, which is, yeah. We don't have we have also we have the materials, building materials, which is kind of like a little bit of chemistry, because we have these chemical reactions for cement and stuff. And yeah, that's it. We don't have any bio or nothing. No
All
like,
right. Yeah, so I think just for people to know, I think even though you have that, it's more application based rather than actually using formulas and solving. Because what Pakhi showed us as well, the balancing project of yours, right? So that is mainly to understand the applications of physics rather than actually sit and use formulas in there. Cool. Um, right. I hope that's answered questions. So Shant Shivakumar, Nikita is from RV College of Architecture in Bangalore. Anirudh Ramesh is saying, what are the faculty in Sept like? So we have this amazing thing that faculty in Sept are like magicians. Is it that, or also I'm trying to build a link between not just restricting this question to Sept, but also to other schools as well. So we'll start off with Shravya, and then if the others could join in as well.
Yeah. So faculty in Sept is basically like your peers itself. They're just there to guide you in the direction that you actually have to go. And they're just going to tell you what you have to do. And you're always free to choose not to do that also. I mean, architecture is all about expressing yourself. So you got to make your own choices. You got to take your own decisions and stuff. But the faculty is always there whenever you need them. I mean, ours is a campus where we don't have a fixed timetable as such. I mean, we just start off at 8 in the morning and end at around 7 in the evening or whatever. So they're always there on campus. I mean, most of them, they have sort of dorms in the campus itself, and they're always on campus to help you out. And you've never see them as a faculty, because there's always that sort of connect, because everyone has something so valid, so important to say, and it just sort of makes sense to you. And it's I mean, at least for me, I've never felt that sort of generation gap between my faculties, because I mean, we have a few graduates from Sept itself who've been faculty there, so we sort of connect on some level, and I think there's a sort of understanding between both of us. I mean, there's a mutual understanding, and we sort of learn from each other. I mean, they're definitely not there as teachers, they're also there as students, so you also can teach them a lot. So it's never faculty for me, it's never been faculty for me, it's just been yet another peer or something.
All right. I'd like to take this to probably Sanmita to talk about the faculty at MS Ramaya. So is it on similar lines, or is there like a gap between the faculty and students?
No, I think I think in all architecture schools there's a certain, it's a different understanding. I mean, my college has more engineering students than architecture. There are like 10 courses of engineering and just one architecture. So I have friends studying in engineering there, and they tell me the teachers are not approachable. They were the same as what we had back in college. I mean, 11th and 12th. But when I tell them about my teachers, it's different because they're much more free with us. Like Shravya said, they're like almost like peers, most of them. I have a few senior faculty, they teach PG and all, and they have a lot more expectation than most of the other teachers, but there's definitely so much more to them. I mean, you learn a lot more from them. One of them, he's a landscape architect. He must be in his 50s or something. Initially, he was very strict with us, especially it being our first semester. He taught us basic design. But eventually you come to see, I mean, you need to have teachers who you can bond with, who you can relate to, but also that one certain teacher who'll push you and, bring out the best in you. So yeah, they're really good at my college.
Okay, cool. I'll probably take this question to Bhopal as well, just to understand whether it's a similar. So, Ruchira, could you answer this question?
Yes, definitely. I mean, as I said before, our teachers, our faculty, they're very friendly. They guide us very well. But it is a completely different scenario as compared to your school, because in school, they really show you what to do, tell you what to do, when to do. But when you're in college, they're not going to spoon feed you so much. They're just going to, okay, if they're trying to teach you a topic, they're going to give you a little brief about it, but it is all up to you after that, depending on how much depth you want to learn the topic in. And there is a vast library in our college, so you can just go. They will recommend a few books to you, so you could go check them out and understand more for yourself.
All right. Right. So now the next question. So these are two questions by two people. So Nayana Sanjeev is asking, could you all mention what made you choose the architecture school which you are currently studying in? Number one, that's a question from Nayana Sanjeev. And the second question from Yasha Bandari, which asks, when you choose colleges, what ranking do you go by? Do you go by NASA, NIRF, India Today, Times, etc.? All right. So I want to ask this question to every one of you, one at a time. What made you choose the college that you're in, and did you go by any ranking? All right. So I want everyone to answer this in straight answer. All right. So Ruchira, you can start off.
Sure. So as we all know, it's SBA Bhopal is a central government institute, and it is definitely known to have a great rank, NIRF as well. But since my family belongs to Indore and Bhopal is very close to Indore, so that was also a really good advantage for me, and that is mainly why I selected SPA.
All right. Nikita? Because you could have chosen anything.
Yeah, but RV, it was always a dream to go to RV. So and also I wanted to be able to come back on the weekends to visit my family. So that was also very important to me.
All right. So no real ranking as such. No, you've not seen any NIRF.
It's like the best in Bangalore. Like
All
that's
right. All right. But I mean, you've not referred to any official ranking list or anything.
no.
All right. All right. Cool. Sanmita, you too
Um,
could have chosen anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was very confusing at first, but I wanted to stay at home. So the closest and the best nearby was Ramaya, and I don't regret it. I mean, sometimes I do think with that rank, I mean, I could have gone to other places, but no, I like where I am right now. So yeah.
All
And no,
right.
I
All
didn't
right.
refer any list. I mean, I think when you try to get in through CET, they give you a list of all the colleges and it kind of shows you a rank. It's like it goes in the order of RV, then I think Ramaya, and then BMS. It goes on and on. I think that's kind of a ranking of colleges according to the KCET website or something, but that's about it. I didn't check anything else.
So I think that is a list of previous year cutoffs, which means that,
Yeah.
okay, last year this students have chosen this and this seats got over at that point of time.
Yeah.
But it's only that. I don't think it's like by any means, a ranking where they go and officially evaluate the colleges.
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so. No, it's
Yeah.
more of your preference ultimately. Like for me, it was distance. For some, it was like I've always wanted to study there. So it's your choice ultimately.
All right. All right. So Shravya, what about you?
So first off, I didn't have any plans to go into Sept itself. I actually was in RV for 3 days. I attended classes also. And suddenly one day I got into Sept somehow. And I mean, definitely Sept is the best. I mean, everyone wants to get into Sept at some point of their coaching career. So I also had that craze of, getting into Sept and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I had applied to RV and I had gotten there, and I had applied to Sept also because my mom was. So I actually have a sort of a family friend who is in Sept, and she always used to tell my mom about how weird she finds Sept to be and how different it is. So my mom was like, you know what, you should also give it a try. So I just applied and somehow I got in, and now I really, really am happy that my mom told me to do that. And
Okay,
yeah,
so
coming to the ranking part of it, I mean, there's obviously a point of time when all of us would have Googled for the best colleges in India or whatever. But then I think my choice of preference is based on the discussion I had with you only. In fact, I remember coming over to DQ with my father, and you had told me to apply to all of these colleges. So yeah, nothing,
absolutely.
no list as such.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. Cool. Pakhi, what about you?
For me, the closest college I think was SPA Delhi and Sept, but I preferred SPA Delhi because it's still closer than Sept. And Delhi is a city that I've been visiting since my childhood, so it was kind of known. And it was also one of the oldest colleges and one of the best colleges in India. Everyone recommended it, so I went for it. And for ranking system, I did look up to NIRF and other ranking systems, but there is not very. I, 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 I mean, I didn't base my decision on it solely.
All
SPA
right.
Delhi had the highest cutoff, so
All
I
right.
just
All right.
applied
But
and got
but
in.
so it's interesting because since you've seen that and referred to that, how reliable do you think those rankings are?
I mean, so I cannot really say they're very reliable or very less reliable, but yeah, they kind of give you a parameter to choose on. Some things like infrastructure and all, maybe some places are better, some places are less, and some places maybe learning is better. So it takes all the parameters, and maybe there may be some discrepancies on basis of that. But
All right.
on a whole, we can say that it's kind of reliable.
Okay. 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 Cool. Mrunal, what about you? What took you there?
Actually, firstly, it's a central government college, so there is always this thing of getting into a good government college, and one of the main reasons was I always wanted to stay in a hostel. Actually, like if I knew that if I get a good college, I'd want to stay in a hostel, and I think SB Bhopal in that terms it's kind of away from. It's not very away like from the city. It's just around 15-20 minutes. So And getting to stay in the campus where the college itself is actually an advantage, I feel. So I think that was one of the main reasons. And yeah, so that's, and also like my family stays in Nasik. Like I stay in Bangalore, like my parents, but then my other relatives and all stay in Nasik, which is kind of nearer. So that is also one of the reasons.
All right. So I'm seeing a lot of y'all have used proximity as one of the main factors. Number one is proximity. Number two is your aspiration, what you perceived as good and what you thought was important to you. So I think that is also very important because I talk to a lot of parents, and like Shravya was saying, we um, I personally go and visit a lot of schools all across India, not only in Bangalore but all across India. And from what I've seen is that every school is there for a reason and is there to do something good. You know, um, they're not there just to while away time or just to put something there. They have a vision, they have an objective, and it's up to each and everyone to kind of see where you fit in to what scheme of things you fit into. That's number one. Number two is I have gone through the all a lot of these NIRF and India Today and Times and all these ranking lists, and I am absolutely till today unable to see on what factors they really judge a school. I don't see the logic, and so I'm not sure what they use. I personally wouldn't think that these are extremely reliable, even though it's coming out from a national authority. I think it's very difficult to say, okay, compare Sept and SPA. I mean, from this discussion, we are seeing such different approaches to Sept, to SPA, and this is really what I wanted from this discussion. So we have people from all these schools, and really, everyone has a beautiful experience, and that's what I like about this particular session. And none of them are bad. Um, so I really think that people should um, kind of go with see where they sink in and go with that. All right. A few more questions. um, I've covered all these questions. Leela Srinivasan, will they consider your KCET rank? No, your KCET, when you say KCET rank, we're not talking about the engineering ranks, we're talking about the architecture ranks. So yes, the architecture rank list is separate from the engineering rank list. All right. So we'll have to, so they will consider that. Um, Chaitanya Deshpande is asking a question, but Chaitanya, I'll come back to that question a little later. Okay. Abhinav is asking, are the hostels in RV? Now, this is directed to Nikita. So, is the hostel spacious in RV to work, as in to
Um,
do your work?
so in one room, there are like three people stay in one room. But after this pandemic, I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe like so. Basically, there's like the bed has like a inbuilt desk, so you can pull out the desk, and when you're done working, you can push it back in, and it's pretty enough. It's enough. And in studio, you mostly work in the studio, so there are like huge desks.
Right, right. Um, right. So Sudhir Kale is asking, will they consider CT and PU marks? Yes. So just to clarify to everybody here, till last year there was a minimum requirement that students had to get a minimum of 50% in their boards to qualify for an architecture seat. Less than 50%, you could not even qualify. This year they have removed that rule, but that does not mean they are not considering your 12th board score. They're still considering it. So what it means that last year, if you got less than 50%, you would not even get a rank. But this year, even with a less than 50%, you will still get a rank. So it is still considered. All right. Mm, all right. Um, Shruti Jaraman is asking, uh, what's the transportation facility like to get to RV?
So I think there are two buses. So, and they don't, I think they cover many spots in Bangalore. So it's, I think it would be better to stay in hostel,
All right.
considering all the models and everything that you have to carry. There's a lot of, materials you need every day in college. And so, yeah, I think that staying in hostel is better. But if you really need to travel from home, there are like 2 buses.
And Shruti, if I remember right, Nikita, if I remember right, they have they have a shuttle that goes from the metro station to the college, right? There are 2 metro stations close
Yeah,
by.
yeah. That I think there is, yeah.
Yeah. So I think, Shruti, I think there are some transportation facilities, but you need to probably check with the college. All right. Abhinav, BMS is before Ramaya. Um, so like we said, not really. There are more parameters than that. Um, so Vinay Nawale is asking if we get 97 percentile in JEE and 67 in boards, can I get SPA, and NITs, etc. So Vinay, just to answer your question, so yes, this year they have removed the minimum for SPAs as well. So your board scores really don't matter. Your 97 percentile is good, but to see whether you can get into SPAs or NITs, what you need to do is you need to wait for the ranking to come out and then make a decision based on that. But overall, you may have a chance with the 97 percentile, but at least in some of the NITs. All right. Has anyone gotten through their JEE scores? Anyone here? Um, so I think this all the students who got into SPAs would have only gotten through their JEE scores. Um, but the ones who have, so Sept, RV, and MS Ramaya. So for y'all, um, did y'all in your cases was your JEE score better than your Nanta score in any of your cases,
Not in
or
mine,
difficult
and
to
even
convert?
if it was, in Sept we're not actually allowed to apply through JE scores. It's only Nata and the boards.
All
So
right,
JE didn't really matter for me.
all right, all right. Nikita, would you kind of give your perspective on that?
Um, my Nata score was definitely better than the JEE marks, and yeah, but like I wasn't focusing on JEE much. It was mostly Nata.
All right, all right. And Sanmita?
I think I did better in JE. I got a 97 or 98 percentile, but I don't know if they took it into consideration. I mean, we just had to enter it into the box, but I don't know if they considered it for the CET rank.
Yeah. So to build up on that, just for everyone's understanding, I think to compare a JEE percentile with a NATA score is a very confusing thing. There is no formula that's released. So it's very difficult for anyone to really judge how they've done in either, because a 97, 98, or a 99 percentile is in JEE is not necessarily equivalent to a 150 in Nata. So we don't know that. All right. There should be a formula which they use to convert, but that formula has not been released, so nobody really knows. All right. So Abhinav, I hope that's answered your question. Kavita Viresh, for now, can you tell us which college is best in Karnataka? You've also gone on to say that some people say that BMS is better than RV. Um, so, Kavita, this hearsay is absolutely based on perspectives. This is the reason why we are having this session here, so you understand from the students themselves, and you see how they compare. Each one talks about their institute, and all these institutes are good. It's very difficult. There is no reliable comparison mechanism to say that one is better than the other. But yes, for your understanding, the top 3 schools that the top ranked students in Karnataka choose are RV, BMS, and Ramaya. Okay. Um, and at a national level, the top schools that people choose are Sept and SPA Delhi, of course, and then SPA Bhopal and Vijayawada as well. Very important. Um, so Ramaya is ranked number 11 in the NASA ranking. Okay, no other colleges like RV, BMS is there. So Yasha Bandari is saying that because Ramaya is ranked 11 in NASA ranking, they should be better than RV and BMS. The answer is no. Uh, a lot of schools do not participate in these rankings, so that makes these rankings unreliable. Really, on a global scale, a reliable ranking system is that you need to consider is the um, there is a list, a particular ranking. I can't remember now, but that is on a global scale. They've not yet been implemented totally in India, but you need to look at that. Okay, so Nazia is asking what should be our main focus when preparing for Nata and JEE. What should be our main focus when preparing for Nata and JEE? Okay, coming down to this question, all right. I know that for you guys the experience was different because you all had drawing, all right. Now for this new batch, there is no drawing. So what would be your advice to this student, to this batch of students, to prepare for uh, these exams, Nata or JEE? What would be your advice? um, let's start with you, Sanmita.
Um, Okay, I had actually prepared for this, but I didn't know until 5 minutes before the call that there wasn't any drawing. I was about to say focus on drawing because that's up to the teachers. It's in the teachers' hands. You can focus on aptitude later and stuff. But I think I'd say again the stuff that you can learn, do it well. Because I mean, I focused on both drawing and aptitude, but I ended up scoring better in aptitude. I mean, there's a sure shot answer for the questions that are asked in aptitude. Drawing, it's up to the teacher. So what is in your hands, do it better. But now since it's all um, MCQs, I'd say focus on what you know better. I mean, I think there's PCM. So focus on PCM. There you can, do better. I don't know what the other questions are like this time. So yeah.
All right, all right. um, Nikita, what would you say?
I would say that practice on DQ Edge. I feel like that would be the best thing to do right now, because it's very like we don't really know what exactly is going to happen. Like all those PTQs, those kind of questions. I mean, I think Edge is the only reliable source to like practice from, and yeah, that should help you.
All right. Shravya, do you have anything to add?
I think it's the same thing. And I'd say just start timing yourselves and start solving papers to see how you perform under that time pressure. I mean, you can sit for 3 hours straight and solve, 20 questions, but that's not the point. Under that time pressure, you have to be able to solve all of those questions. So try and start timing yourselves, and obviously DQ Edge, I mean, it's the best because they keep updating it, and I mean, they know better than what we do because they've had all of these years of experience. So I think definitely DQ Edge and start timing yourselves. That's it.
All right. Thank you. Mrunal, so this is an important question, and because each of y'all may have different questions or different perspectives. So I think the time factor is good. DQ Edge is good. So Mrunal, what would you like to add?
I think the same thing. I felt like even for me, I remember I just joined a crash course, and I had very less time. So what I did was I focused on my strengths. Like I thought I was good at aptitude, so I focused more on that, and and I did a lot of question papers from DQH, and also the places where I thought I was weak in some topics in math. I did those. There are chapter wise questions too, so I think I did that, and it kind of helped me.
All right. All right. Ruchira?
Yes, I totally agree with all of them. I mean, great points. And I would say just focus on whatever topics you're confident about. Make that your strength and try to score as much as you can in those topics. And obviously, try to improve upon the rest of the topics. And also, when I was preparing for my exams, DQH was an extraordinary help. So I would say really practice from DQH.
All right. On these lines, Ruchira, I just wanted to ask you, when you use DQH, I don't know if you recall, but you use the submit button, and the submit button used to break up into three, into knowledge and elimination and formula.
Yes.
So the idea of that is to focus on strengths, to identify your strengths and focus on that. Did that kind of help you out? Did you
Yes.
use that feature or?
Yes, I did use that feature. I mean, that actually helped me. It showed me how confident I am about what topics. So I could really focus on my strengths that way.
All right. All right. So yeah, I mean, I think the platform is there for students to identify their strengths, and they just need to use that. That's cool. Pakhi, what about you? What did you find useful?
So I also mainly practiced from DQH. In fact, because of DQH, I came to know of DQ Labs. That's why I enrolled there. And I use DQH mainly because it let me know my strengths and weakness. And at that time, I was practically focusing on aptitude and mathematics part more because those were my strengths. And after I think I enrolled in DQ Labs, I was able to substantially increase my performance in drawing part also. So that gave me an edge over the others in that aspect.
All right. And specifically for you, now what's happened is a lot of the students have started taking classes online. All right. So a lot of them used to take physical classes and now suddenly had to go online. And so they're like really concerned and saying, okay, how do I manage online? But you were a 100% online student of DQ Labs, right? So how did you get that find that experience and bring this up specifically for you because you did it entirely online and you still got into SPA Delhi, right? So how did you find the online classes, the coaching classes?
So first of all, my preference was to go for physical classroom, but I live in a city which has neither of these places where I can go for a physical classroom, and all the other centers I think were very far away, and so I preferred for the online method, and I obviously I searched on Google. So DQ Labs was the first thing that came up, and then I saw all the works that is there on the website, and then I used DQH. Then I found it really useful. So it was the only website which was specifically focused on Nata and JE, which I was focusing at the time. So I thought maybe why not give it a try to enroll in a full-time classroom program. And when I did, it was immensely helpful. It was, I mean, it really boosted my confidence first of all and made my strengths more defined. And some of the aptitude part I was able to do it, but I was not very fast at it, I would say. But then those tricks and tips that DQH taught me in classroom also, that helped me a lot in acing it. Especially, I do remember there was a class about matrices and determinants where we could do a trick by multiplying all the diagonals first and then subtracting the other part of the diagonals, the fast part. So before that class, I didn't know about that trick. So it took me a lot of time to calculate the determinants if it was a big one. So that was really helpful for me. And also the drawing part, as I said, I was able to increase my capacity and my time also. It I was able to lessen it by, I think, almost, I think I would say 15 to 20 minutes. I became much more faster in sketching after that.
All right, cool. Um, right. I think Harshita is one that's pending. Harshini. Harshini, what helped you?
So DQH, exactly, DQH helped me a lot. But as I was a daily student to the class, I took reference from all the faculty over DQ labs in Indiranagar. They helped me a lot. Faculty, drawing faculty, aptitude faculty, maths faculty. Every day I used to come to DQ labs. So physical class helped me a lot. With DQ Edge also gave me a support for learning so much of skills. I can say physical class helped me a lot.
All right. Thank you for that. Right. So to the students here, I think from two perspectives, what these students have said very clearly. Number one, DQ Edge is useful, and in DQ Edge, there is the option for you to select knowledge, elimination of and formula, and random choice. So please use that feature. That is, DQ Labs is the only platform that has that, or DQ Edge, and that will help you identify your strengths. And as these students have said, your strengths are what you need to focus on, and DQ Edge can help you with that. All right. So please, if you've not utilized that feature yet, please start off today. It is not too late. Also, very important is this year, because they're checking for your cognitive skills, all right, through the PTQs and all that. The additional feature that you need to look into is the feature where you can um, go and upload a sketch, evaluate, do a self evaluation of your sketches, because that is also related to the PTQs. All right. Um, it'll test your understanding of concepts, which is, in our opinion, what they will do. You will also have a peer rating. You can rate your peer group. You can rate the other students who've done the same submissions. All right. Now, like what we have learned earlier in this, there is a lot of learning that you can gather from your peer group as well, and DQH has these features. So it's very important for you to use these features. We're the only institute that has these features. Very important that you use these things. It will help you crack Nata this year. All right. Right. So the next question. So Amira is asking, what cell did you have to apply to get admissions into Sept? I will answer that. The Sept will open the admissions on the website. They'll make those announcements, and you need to apply from that website. Shravya, anything different?
No, that's it.
From that? That's it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Harshita N. Kumar, Dhruv, and there are a few questions. Faizan is asking questions about the extracurricular activities in colleges. Now, do you have time for extracurricular activities, or there's no time?
I mean, in mine at least we do. I mean, we have to make time for it. Otherwise, I mean, there's no way we can survive through it mentally. You're so drained by the end of one day's lecture. I mean, there's a need for to do something extra. And my college offers a lot of different clubs. There's art, there's dance, there's theater, there are different clubs which have there's this club called AWA where you can actually register yourselves for lectures by practicing architects. You know, there are sometimes Doshi sirs on campus just giving a lecture, and you're just so much in awe of all of the works he's done. Yeah, there's things like that. I mean, definitely you have to make time for it, even if you don't. So yeah.
All right. What about the others? Say RV and Ramaya.
At RV, there are clubs. There are many. There's like graphic design clubs, sports clubs. There are a lot of options if you have time for it. You can sign up for all those clubs.
Okay.
Yes,
and
same here. Same here. I mean, there's a student journal club, there's music, dance, everything. But you need to have the interest. I mean, most of us, we were tired enough from the course itself. But I have many friends who do take up different sports and stuff side by side with the architecture.
All right, cool. And of course, Pakhi showed us the quote in SPA Delhi as well. So that's good. So I'm sure all colleges would be pretty much on the same line. There's a nice question from Kashvi, who's asking, does being able to explain well or having good control over language, how important is it in architecture?
For all of our design classes, we were asked to present whatever we made. We had to come in front of the class and speak up about it. I mean, it definitely helps you if you're a very confident person or are good at words, because our teachers do not like it if you're not able to explain what you made. So that's definitely a plus point when you're able to explain what you've done and when you have a hold over the teacher's attention. So yes, speaking is very, very important, because if you can't explain what you've made, 50% of the job is not done.
Absolutely. Shravya?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is important, but I can't say that everyone has that gift of being really confident about whatever you've designed, you know. So we have a course itself, which is a mandatory course for first years, where they'll actually teach you how to actually like speak and sort of explain whatever you've done and stuff. That's the reason we had classes at 8 a.m. in the morning, but I mean, it was definitely worth it. I mean, in the fifth years and stuff, you'll have to do your thesis and all of that, and that time it's really going to be very important. Even if you're giving your juries every year, I think communication becomes the key. So I think they're going to train you to do that.
All right. Pakhi at SPA Delhi, do y'all have any support for communication?
Yes, sir. There's a course for the first years, as you got. It's mandatory for all of us. It's called professional communication. So they basically make us do different kinds of stuff. For the first assignment, we were split into groups and told to make an ad about something, and then we had to present it in front of all class. And then on the similar lines, they have made us do many activities. And yes, presentation is obviously important in all of our present whatever design we make. We have to explain it, even though we have presented it on a chart. But then we also have to explain it what we have drawn, or what our objective was, because words cannot explain everything, or we cannot write everything in one single sheet or two sheets. So it's an important aspect of architecture to have good communication skills.
All right. So cool. Interesting. I would like to understand from Nikita as well at RV, what do they focus on communication and presentation skills?
Yes, actually, we had a subject in the first semester. It was called communication skills. And so they would have us, describe, like, we would just go up and stand in front of the class and talk about our favorite artists, movies, and like things that we are comfortable with to, like, get comfortable with public speaking. So that really helped us. And also, even my design faculty, like, they helped us, like, by giving us a lot of practice juries, which really helped us for our final juries. So like we used to practice in front of the internal jurors, which was really helpful. So it builds up confidence so that we can speak properly on our final jury days.
All right, all right. So good. I like that question, Kashvi. It is a very nice question, and I think nice to get this perspective from students, because these are things which we don't know. Anirudh Ramesh has reminded me that the ranking I spoke about was the QS World Rankings. Yes, that is the reliable one that you can follow, but that's at a global perspective. They're not very active in India, but that's most reliable. All right. Nayana Sanjeev is asking, I'm going to go through questions quickly now because we've gone past time. So Nayana Sanjeev is asking, do you spend more on stationery materials? Yes, you will have to spend on that. Yasha Bandari is asking, is there a separate Sept score? There is a Sept ranking. So when all the students apply to Sept will add do their own ranking, because it's a separate list, and they will get that. Does Sept offer scholarships? I don't know this. Shravya, do they?
Yes, sir. Yes, they do. I mean, there's application scholarships and also post application. So, I mean, you can always opt for scholarships. There are a lot of schemes that offer scholarships from the first year itself. So you can always opt for those.
All right. Thank you. So Chaitanya Deshpande is asking, were any of you interested in colleges abroad? If so, which colleges would you have joined? So did any of you all consider colleges abroad?
Not really.
No?
No,
No.
I didn't.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. Um, Nazia Akbani is asking, for a 2021 student, would it still make sense to focus a lot on drawing? This is something that I could probably answer. So this year is an exception that they have removed drawing because of the current situation, the pandemic. Next year, we do not know. They may be drawing, they may not be drawing. So our advice would be to still prepare for your drawing. It's very, very important. And don't prepare for it from a perspective of cracking an exam. Probably prepare for it in the sense of really wanting to understand how to communicate your ideas. That will help you, and irrespective whether your answer, whether the drawing pattern comes or not, it doesn't matter. It's a learning for you. Yeah. Yasha Bandari, does the PTQ have multiple is yes, Yasha Bandari, PTQs, MCQs are covered in DQ Edge, so please go through that. How did you study for architecture theory exam? All right. So everyone mentioned that they use DQ Edge. All right. But there was a question earlier. How did you balance your preparation for your 12th board as well as for Nata and JEE? So this is another interesting question. If you could focus on that. So this again, I would want everybody's answer because it's an important question and everyone's facing this. Yeah. So go ahead. Let's start off with Shravya.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it becomes hard to manage both. But I mean, I always felt like my Nata coaching classes were some free time for me to get my heads of all of that off of all of that physics and chemistry and maths from my school. And it was definitely an enriching experience when I entered that class itself. The whole atmosphere, it made me want to learn more about that. But I think, well, when I was preparing, the first few months, I was dedicated towards boards itself because that was a really important part. And then later, once my boards got done, I started sort of focusing more on my Nata. I mean, I started timing myself after my boards for Nata preparation. But before that, I was just, going to my normal classes and sort of learning the different concepts, like perspectives or whatever it may be.
All right, Nikita.
Initially, I used to go to DQ labs on the weekends. So, like, the weekdays would be all CBSE related. Like, I used to study for the exams. And on the weekends, I used to prepare, like, I used to go to DQ and we used to draw and all these, the math classes. I attended all of those. And in the final months, like when right before the board exams, I used to only focus on the board exams. And after them, like I started again going back to DQ and preparing and writing these past years question papers and the mock tests. Those were very helpful. Time management is very essential.
All right. And there's another follow-up question, which says, how many hours did you prepare for it just before, the final Nata exam, once you were done with your boards?
DQ used to have these webinars. So I used to attend those webinars and I used to spend like maybe 6 hours throughout the day. Like, chunks of time, like maybe like 1 hour on 2 hours on math, 1 hour drawing, just every day doing something new.
All right. Sanmita. how did you balance your preparation for class 11 and for class 12 and Nata throughout the year? Number one. Number two, towards the end, how much time and effort did you put in? Sanmita, did you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. My internet was unstable for a second. Yeah. I think we all know 11th grade is a bit more relaxed. So I'd already decided that I wanted to do architecture. I enrolled at a minor coaching center nearby, and I practiced only drawing for my 11th grade. And I found that it wasn't exactly satisfactory. I mean, I was done with the drawing, but I had done nothing in aptitude. So I decided since 12th, I needed to give more importance to my boards. I'd study more for my PU exams, but whenever I was free, whenever I didn't feel like focusing on science, I'd come to DQH. That on in 12th grade, I applied for DQ's online course, and I practiced on it till I think about 2 months before the PU boards. Then I diverted my attention fully to the boards. And as soon as they were over, I attended the crash course, DQ's crash course in Mangalore. And I think that was like a final push. I mean, there was nothing else to focus on except Nata, and I'd go to the classes every day and come back home and attend those webinars that followed the classes. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, Ruchira.
Yes. So basically, in the beginning, all I would do was attend my DQ labs classes. I attended all of my classes online, and I would usually spend more time studying for Nata during the weekends, and during the weekdays, I would focus more on boards. And once my boards were over, I would spend around 5 to 6 hours a day studying for my entrance exams.
All right. Right. Mrunal?
So I had joined the DQ Lab crash course. So basically, I decided around the middle of 12th that I wanted to do architecture. So I would just solve questions at home, or maybe take some look over at some videos and or some tutorials. But then I thought so that actual classes needed for more guidance. So I joined the crash course immediately after my boards, actually just before one of my paper. And I think after my boards, I focused a lot on the Nata itself, like Nata and JE both. And I think I solved a lot of questions. So that really helped me. And, like my drawing basics were not very clear, but then I think the teachers were very helpful, and, they kind of cleared my doubts and perspectives and, other topics. So that helped me in drawing. And in aptitude and maths, I just did DQH questions, a lot of them. And I just solved the papers.
All right. And how much time did you spend, say, towards just before the end of the exam? Did you sit the whole day, or morning to evening, or just few hours, or what?
Just a few hours. I wouldn't overdo it also, I say. But I knew that I had only a few days before my exam. So I would focus on my strengths mostly. I wouldn't do stuff which I don't know. So, if I knew that I was good at aptitude, so I would do a lot of it and, increase my speed at it. So I think that was what I would focus on.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. Pakhi, what about you, Pakhi?
I joined year-long DQH course. So basically in the 12th year, I used to do these classes, but by the end of the year, during the December, by the time JEEs were coming up, I devoted whole of my December preparation for the JEE, specifically for maths, so that I can increase my speed in it, and likewise in aptitude and that GK part that's there for 5-6 questions. So, and I practiced a lot of previous year questions to sort of get comfortable with it, and also of the paper one mathematics also, because they are kind of all the similar level, because I wanted to boost my marks mostly in it, because that may be the tie breaking part. So, and then after that, JEE was over in January. I focused on boards till March, till my boards were over. Then I again switched over to JEE and Nata. So that was my preparation strategy. Basically, I switched into two parts where most was what was important. I focused on that.
All right. So Sushant Shivakumar is asking, PTQs aren't covered in DQ Edge. Sushant, I would like you to go back to last week's webinar, last Monday's webinar. You will find that in our DQ Labs channel. We have covered a topic. The entire webinar was about how you can prepare for NATA 2020 efficiently. I'd request you to go through that. It is covered, and there are ways in which we need you to focus. Please go through those that webinar again in detail, and you will get that answer. All right. Um, right. So yeah. So Yasha Bandari, I know you've attended that last week's webinar, and but we can take that discussion offline. We can connect and maybe if you can connect through my counselors, we can probably have a call. Okay, so call 959 100 1000 100 1000. You can ask the counselor to conference with me, Dion. All right, and we can solve that problem. Right, I think last few questions. Okay, one is for Sept, for from Sanjana about the DOMs in Sept. All right, Sanjana, what? So Shravya, what is that like?
So I mean, most of them would have heard that Sept hostels are not up to the mark. I mean, definitely, but I mean, it's just the entrance part is I mean, it could take a little bit of work, but I think the dorms are pretty good. But most of the girls opt to stay in the PGs because they're closer to the campus than the hostel itself. The hostel is not on the campus. And coming to the boys' hostel, I think it's a great place to stay in. I mean, it's really really cheap, and I think the facilities are, I mean, they're enough for a hostel. I think it's a great option. But I mean, for the girls, I'd recommend they stay in a PG because it's closer, and also for that price for a girls' hostel, I mean, you'd get better facilities in a PG itself.
All right.
Yeah.
So Anaika Ghosh is asking a good question. What are your plans in architecture after college? So Anaika, I'm not sure whether you mean after their 5-year program or on a daily basis, because um, on a daily basis they've described what they do for recreation a little while ago, but after probably all right, this is an interesting thing. Could you tell us whether at this point of time what your aspiration is after your architecture, or say 5 years of architecture? Has that changed your perspective? Do you want to be an architect, or do you want to get into something else? It's an interesting question. So the reason I'm asking this is because we have our students who've gone through architecture, and right now they're doing journalism, they're doing blogging, they're doing various things. They're doing video game design. So they're branching out to various things, right? So that's the reason why I'm asking whether y'all still want to be architects after this 1 year, or has that perspective kind of gone to a tangent?
I'd say at this point, I just want to get done with my 5-year course. But I mean, I definitely don't know where I stand after this 5-year period. I don't know if I'm going to divert. I mean, every day, my thought process changes. Every day, I consider a new course probably. But I think at the end of 5 years, I'm hoping for it to be all worth it. And I mean, definitely, I mean, if you ask me before I enrolled into the college, I definitely say I would want to get into an architecture school. But now that has changed. I would say I want to complete and get out of this architecture school. So probably, I don't know what I'd say if you ask me the same question tomorrow. So I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Does anyone else have a different perspective that they would like to talk about from the panel? Would anyone have? All right. So I guess at this time it's a little too early for any of them to say. Um, and probably from here, Harshini is the one who's changed from architecture into planning, and she loves it. But what's going to happen after 5 years, Anaika, is a little difficult to predict at this stage. All right. Um, so Roshi Asin, tips on studying architecture awareness. All right. Um, tips on studying. How did you cover architecture awareness when you're always studying? What did you all do other than, yeah, what did you all do to prepare for that? Because a lot of students are worried about that part of the test.
Obviously try out on DQ Edge, and what mistakes you make or the stuff that you don't know, look up, browse a lot, follow accounts on Instagram, see stuff on Pinterest, keep yourself updated. I think that's what I have to say.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Anybody else has anything to add?
I would say just read as much as you can, gain as much knowledge as you can. Whatever you're interested in, just as Sanmita pointed out, browse about it, Google it, and read.
All right. Right. And there's a final question from Grishma. Are board marks considered or admissions are based solely on JEE or Nata for this year? I will answer that. So board marks are definitely considered. All right. Board marks are definitely considered. It's considered, they will consider 50% of your board marks and 50% of your Nata score if you are trying to get into a college in Karnataka or any of those states that you're applying to. However, if you are applying to SPAs or NITs, then they will not consider your board marks this year. They will only consider your JEE paper 2 scores, and that will be used for admissions. All right. Anaika Ghosh is also asking, is it true that around 40% of the batch leaves architecture school by the second year? And if so, why? All right. So in each of your schools, do you all have anyone who's leaving architecture?
Actually, I had a friend. The best part is she was the rank after me. She was the 8th rank in CET for architecture, and she joined Ramaya. She was we have 2 sections, and she was in the other section. And she was a very sweet girl, didn't have any problems with the course, was doing fairly well. I mean, very well compared to everyone else in class. But after the first semester, she dropped out, and we were all quite surprised. And then turns out she wanted to do medical from the start. She only took architecture as a fallback option. But then she decided after the first semester that that it wasn't in her interest. I mean, she was doing really well, but she wasn't interested. So she dropped after the first semester, and now I think she's going to write NEET currently. So yeah, there has been a good friend who dropped out after.
All right. So, but is it as high as 40%?
No, I as of now, no. I mean, I think after second year or third year, I don't know. But right now, no. After the first year, people still have some willpower to keep going at this stage.
Okay. Let's go to Mrunal. In your experience.
No one has dropped out as such. I mean, 40% is too much, but I think I can say is in our college we had this year back system. So I think if someone fails in the exams, they need to take a year back. And last year around 17 students were kind of debarred. So I think that was a lot. Like that was only the last year, and probably I think they wouldn't do it now. Maximum like I can say in the first semester there were just 2 students who were debarred. So they'll join probably in the upcoming batch. And for us, we have compulsory attendance, 75% attendance. So I know people who, like there was a girl who didn't attend 75% of the classes, and like and it was around 60 or something, and she's debarred. So attendance also matters a lot. I mean, at least in SPA.
All right. Nikita?
I had a friend who, when we all came back home, she dropped out. She was actually very confused whether she wanted to do architecture in the first place. So she, like, after this pandemic thing, she just decided to take the leap and join engineering.
Okay, cool. And Harshini. But sorry, Nikita, just coming back to you, it's not as high as 40% for sure.
No, it's
It's
not.
one or two,
Right now,
probably one or two.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
And I think,
confused ones, like the ones who don't know whether they really want to take it.
all right. Yeah, so Harshini, in SPA, do you think that anyone drops out from there?
Like I too had a friend in my class. Like we came for a Dasra vacation and she suddenly dropped out. So we was all surprised when we asked. She was missing her hometown. She was homesick, so she got dropped. She joined some other engineering colleges in her hometown, it seems.
All right. So I really don't think Shravya in Sept, has anyone dropped out in Sept?
No, I mean, in Sept, a lot of the majority of people try and repeat the semester because they want to sort of get more information in the semester itself. So I've seen people repeat semesters to twice or thrice the same semester, but definitely not drop out.
Okay. Pakhi, I would like you to give your perspective on this, if you'd like to add something.
So, I mean, as high as 40% don't drop out, but some do drop out. For example, in the first week of our college, in another section, 2-3 people dropped out of the college, and majorly, as Mrunal said, were debarred from second semester because they didn't have 75% attendance. As high as I think also they were quite high number, and maybe 20s that they didn't have attendance, so they were not promoted to second semester.
All right. Cool. So so I think Anaika, there's a lot of these rumors that that everyone hears. Okay, that architecture is tough. It's a lot of work. Yes, it's a lot of work. Yes, it's tough, but it's fun. From what we see, and it's fun. It is what people enjoy, and they really have a lovely time during the course. It's not easy, but it's something you definitely enjoy. And I think we've covered up everything. Um, Thank you, all of you. Okay, I mean, it's been a brilliant session. Um, and I'm not going to go in any order. Nikita, Mrunal, Pakhi, Shravya, Ruchira, Sanmita, and Harshini. It's been a brilliant session to have all of you here. Thank you so much for taking this time out. I know some of you have some submissions going on, and you'll have still taken the time to come out here and meet with our students. Really appreciate it, and thanks once again. I think you've given good advice to the students.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having us, sir.
Thank you for having us, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. All right. Goodbye. We'll be ending the session. Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.